Hey there, my name is Chris Acton with Acton Creative, and this is A Handwoven Experience. In today's episode, we are going to be discussing tartans versus plaids. Now, this is a topic that I know about this much about, so I'm going to be bringing in our resident expert, Caryl Bohn. Now, Caryl was so wonderful and actually designed a tartan for our Acton Creative community, which is remarkable. We call it the Warped Weavers Tartan, and it is something really, really special. And because of that whole experience with her, it really has me so interested in this world of tartans. So I thought it was time to bring her in for an entire episode about tartans and plaids and Scotland and registered tartans and how you can weave your own and all kinds of good things. So without further ado, friends, I would like to bring you into our conversation about tartans versus plaids. Hello, Caryl. Thank you so much for being with us, being our resident tartan expert. I thought we'd start off by having you explain a little bit how you got into the whole world of tartans.
Well, I've loved tartans my whole life. I've loved plaid my whole life. Same family, second cousin. Absolutely adored it. Was not allowed to wear it or use it as a child, 100%, no questions asked, because we lived across the street from my grandmother, who was from a mining family in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And she grew up very poor. I mean, dirt poor Appalachia.
Wow.
And so tartan was, excuse me, plaid was associated with the miners, the working class, the dirty, the poor. My grandmother was, bless her heart, she's in heaven now, was very snooty, snotty, and uppity. And she actually, when she was a teenager, she was an auto model. And
Oh,
she was very beautiful, very
yeah.
tiny, little English, Scottish descent lady.
Okay.
But she wanted nothing to do. Mm-mm. That was beneath her. That's what it was considered. It was flannel, and she didn't like it, and so we weren't allowed to wear it. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. So it was always on the back burner, and I
Yeah.
love color. I mean, who? I mean, those of us that are watching this, who doesn't love color?
Right.
And to me, plaids and tartans are one big weaving camp. Every time you do it, it's magic. You know, you think you know what those colors are going to do when they cross. Nope,
Always
surprise.
surprised. Yes, I agree. I love it.
So you do it. So it's kind of a fun experiment every time. And to me, it plaids and tartans mean country. They mean home. They mean, and I don't even know where that quite came from,
Yeah.
because, like I said, I wasn't allowed to wear it as a child, but I've always loved it. And
Yeah.
it's just something that sings to me. And we all have things that sing to us.
Yeah.
We have people in the group that love towels. We have people that love baby wraps. And we have people that love whatever comes off, shawls and washcloths and
Yeah.
pants. We all have our thing. And this is my thing. I love twills. I love tweeds. I love tartans.
Nice. I
So,
love that. Now you kind of mentioned the two together, but will you explain for folks who don't know the difference between a plaid and a tartan? What's the differentiation?
absolutely. A plaid is any fabric that has visibly intersecting colored lines. They
Okay.
don't necessarily have to repeat in any order.
Mm.
They don't have any size rules. They're just, you all know it, you see it, you look at it, it's a plaid.
Yeah.
A tartan is a very specific, as we know it now, and I'll get into that. There's a history. Is a very specific set pattern of intersecting lines and colors and numbers of threads, and it means something. That's the key. It means something. It's a fingerprint. So, like I've said before in the past, all tartans are plaids, but not all plaids are tartans. It's the whole fingers and thumb thing. This is a
Mm.
finger. These are not thumbs. This is a finger. Not all fingers are thumbs.
Thumbs.
So,
Yes. It's the
yeah.
rectangle square. That same. I like yours
Yes,
better, the
exactly.
fingers and thumbs. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Does it have to be registered to be considered a tartan?
Yes, it does. Otherwise, it doesn't have a meaning. It might mean something to you, but nobody else is ever going to know what it is.
Gotcha.
So officially, it needs to be registered if it's going to be a tartan. You could personally weave one and say, "Hey, this is a tartan. It's a specific plaid. It follows this rules," but nobody else is going to know that.
No one else. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So along those lines, though, so what's the Scotland connection to tartans? Why? I mean, we always equate tartans in Scotland. How did that come about? What's the kind of background there? Do you know?
Yes, I actually kind of do.
I was guessing. I was guessing if
It's
anyone
kind of
knew, it'd be you.
wishy-washy, but the general consensus is this, and be reassured that tartans slash plaids have been around for thousands of years. Ever since a weaver put warp a weft and we started getting bored with looking at all yellow or all blue, we decided to go, hey, you know what? That sheep is brown. I like that one. Let's throw that in there. And what happens if we've all done it? You know, they've done it too. They created plaids.
Yeah.
Plaids have been around for thousands of years. Any country on earth, you find a weaver, find history of weaving, you're gonna find a plaid. Scandinavia, China, Norway, Vietnam, anywhere. There are plaids. Um, and they started out as utilitarian fabrics. People wove their own fabrics. In lieu of wearing grape leaves, they fabrics, right?
We're grateful.
So you weave your own fabrics. You get sick of looking at all the white sheep making off-white clothing, and you start using dyes. Well, those dyes are obviously, you're not sending off to your Amazon Prime to get indigo dye if you live in Scotland. You're going to use the local heather, you're going to use the gorse, you're going to use the mosses, the seaweeds, whatever's around you, that's what you're using. So when people started weaving these cloths, they were the ancient equivalent of their utilitarian wear, and it kind of became almost their camouflage wear because they would wear it, especially for hunting, because you would blend into the landscape. You're using natural colors. You know, even the tweed fabrics were all muted browns and grays. That's what the dyes were. And so the fabrics were less of a tartan. Obviously, they weren't registered, but they were a fabric that was regional. It was a regional fabric. You know, these people wore more this shade, and this group over here on the West Coast wore this shade because that's what the dyes were available. You know, this side of the coast didn't have these berries, and
right.
You know, these people didn't have these sheep. So it was more of a regional thing. So I'm going to call them plaids for now because we're not in the tartan era. They're plaids.
Got it.
They're regional, not so much clans, not so much families, regionals, because that's where the dye and the fiber was, and that's where those colors came from.
Okay.
So, availability. So we fast forward to the mid 18th century, and we have, the Jacobite uprising. And if you're a history buff, you know all about that. If you don't dig into it, you'll never come out. We have the English versus the Scottish, and we're battling kings, and we're trying to, the Scots are trying to get the English out of their territory, and the English are saying, no, neener, we want you, but you can't have another Scottish king. And English wins, and George II, winning side, always decides what's going to happen. And they decided that we don't want you to have your identity. We're going to strip you of your identity. We want to put you down.
Oppression.
No more tartans. Now, I always argued that my husband, at one point in this mess, they must have started wearing tartans that kind of resembled your more general family, because there's always been clan warfare. Always been clan warfare.
Sure.
Villagers poking at others. And if you don't know which side you're on, to me, it's like shirts versus skins.
Yeah.
It's not always region versus region. It could be village and village. So
right,
to me,
a tinier scale.
We had red versus blue and green versus red. So there has to be somewhere in there that we're missing or just not connecting. But we did hit the point in the mid 18th century, 1700s, where they lost their identity. They were not allowed to, not supposed to wear their plaids anymore.
Okay.
So they're basically taking away their school uniform and saying, be one of us. It still happened. Weavers do what weavers do.
Sure.
But
those weavers.
Darn it. Yeah, right. So fast forward to, I'm going to skip over George IV.
Yep.
But he loved Scotland.
Oh.
Loved Scotland.
Okay.
Because who doesn't, right? So we're going to jump ahead just a little bit further down the line, or towards us, up the line, to Victoria.
Okay.
Queen Victoria adored Scotland, absolutely adored it. So now we're entering the Industrial Revolution.
Mm.
We're talking, trips across the border for vacations. We're entering the Romance period. We're entering um, emotion and passion and music and a renaissance of the Romance era. We're talking Emily Bronte. Oh, Heathcliff. If it was the old world style, that was in vogue, and if it was in vogue, you were in society, and that was. I told my husband I was trying to come up with a modern day equivalent of this, and it's
Yeah.
the farmhouse chic.
Oh, nice.
You can
Nice.
see you can see farmhouse chic now. It's starting to die out again, but that was the thing, right?
Yeah.
So if you were anybody, you were taking your Victorian mansion and you were making it look more what you thought
Sure.
was old romantic style, the fountains, the pillars. So here we have Victoria, and
Uh-huh.
she loves Scotland. Well, what is Scotland? Scotland is hunting, and it's the hills, and it's the nature, and it's the whole embodiment of this romantic, misty moors and dogs and deer and hunting and back to the way it was. Even then, in Victorian era, when they didn't have gas in the castle yet, they were thinking, you know,
Back
way
when?
back when. It was so much
Yeah.
better way back when. So they romanticized it. And along comes, you're going to love this story if you've never heard this story. Along come two brothers. And as
Okay.
any good brothers who seek a great opportunity
Yes.
to make a buck,
Sure.
to,
Enterprising.
yes, they were. This was, oh gosh, I think it was John and Charles Allen. Anyway, they marketed themselves as the Sobiensky Stewarts. So
Okay.
these two brothers, and they said, "Oh, you know what? We found this amazing book from the 16th century, and it's got all the plaids in it, and they belong. This one belongs to this family, and this one belongs to this family. Wouldn't you like to buy fabric so that you too?" As a great 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 grandson of Robert the Bruce, wouldn't you love to be wearing this at your next party? And of course, the romantic era Victorians who are all snooty, snotty, uppity. If my grandmother only knew that, she would probably have jumped right on board. Anyway, they would jump on board with that and say, yes, we want in on that. And they would show up in the latest tartan plaid because it was in the book. So it must be right.
Must be right.
And they claimed, here it is. This is it. This is the book. So this is where the modern idea of the tartan came from.
God.
The specific print for the specific family,
Mhm.
the specific region, the specific castle, the specific war, battle. That's where that came from. Was these two brothers in the 1800s, late 1800s, said, "Hey, I got an idea. How about we do this?" And they jumped on, and this is how this evolved. Now, again, fast forward, the Scots have been known for this.
Yeah.
The Victorians and English they thought this was the, butter on bread, ran with it. And, the Irish have tartan plaids.
Is that right?
They absolutely do. Even there's some of the coast of Norway, some of the
Mhm.
families there have them, and they'll
Okay.
always had them. But the Scots are known for it because why? They jumped on it. Marketing. It's
Marketing.
fabulous, and it's good because it gave
Smart.
them an identity outside of England.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know. Long story
Wow.
condensed. Look
That was
into it if you're
great.
interested because it is fun. It
Yeah,
is a
that's
fun
very cool.
evolution.
Right? Yeah. Now, I always think of tartans as being kilts or draped over a shoulder. Does it can be well, let me ask, does it have to be clothing or no? Can it be anything? How does that
It
work?
can, it can be anything.
Okay.
Officially, officially, and in best use scenario, tartans are balanced 2-2 twill.
Okay.
So 1-2, 2-3, 3-4, 1-4 on your
Hmm.
loom,
Yep.
and they're made out of. That's the strongest twill.
Hmm.
Um, there's no overshots to get caught on anything. It's very
Right.
strong. There's very limited bias twist.
Hmm.
It's mostly wool.
Makes sense. Sheep
Usually,
makes sense.
it's usually wool.
Yeah.
But no, they can be, it's fabric for dresses, for sashes, for kilts, and for sock flashes, for tams.
I'm sorry,
And
would you say sock flashes? What is that?
uh, when the men wear their socks, there's a garter and then the
Keep
sock
them
rolls
up.
down. Yeah,
Okay.
but there's a little flash of fabric. It's almost like a little,
Little flag
uh,
kind of thing.
it's like a little scarf that hangs out of their sock and it
Okay.
matches their coat.
I like it.
Yeah, it's called a flash,
A
for
flash.
flash of color.
Okay.
And then there's the tams, and then there's the regimental caps, which look like our modern,
Oh,
um, Glengarry caps. You know if you saw them. Sometimes they're black with a tartan band on them and a little
okay.
tassel in the
Okay.
back.
Yep.
Those are official wear items.
Okay.
Um, but tartan prints can be printed nowadays on silk. Um,
Mm.
they can be made into scarves. They can be made into just general fabric to be made into coats or skirts. You can use it for whatever you want to. The
Okay.
trick is, it's respect it. It's means something to somebody, so don't disrespect it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. So I know you kind of talked about this, but if I gave you a sentence to be officially a tartan, what has to go into it? You talked about the tutu twill is kind
Mhm.
of ideal and wool, but it doesn't have to be, you said. It can be
That's
other
correct.
things.
Yeah, nobody's going to have a hissy fit if you have to make it out of cotton. When I started, I had to do things out of cotton because one, I was allergic to the proteins in wool, so I had to use cotton.
Yeah.
And I'm got allergy shots now, so I'm better. I use wool.
Yeah.
Um, if
Which
you
is
want
good
to
because
keep,
you have alpacas. That's good that you can.
well, it's a different animal, so
Different.
different
Okay. Okay.
protein.
Okay. Okay.
I'm allergic to them anyway. Um, but there's people that can't, or
Yeah.
like during lockdown, I couldn't find wool to get shipped here in the
Yeah.
color I needed. So you do what must.
Right.
Um, there is no tartan police. There's no weaving police. There's no tartan police. No one's gonna no one's gonna come after you. It needs a tartan needs to be registered, and that's through the Tartan Authority in Scotland. It needs to meet certain criteria to do that. First of all, it needs to not resemble or match any other tartan, and they do search it. And the way that it's registered is you have up to 6 colors. You can do more, but 6 is the traditional.
Okay.
Um, and a certain pattern of a certain number of threads in a specific order.
Okay.
So it's a fingerprint, and
Fingerprint.
nobody else can have that fingerprint. And you can't mutilate another pattern by just 1 or 2 threads and call it a day. And yeah, that's
Got it.
mine.
Has to be different enough.
A different enough.
Got
It's
it.
kind of like our copyright rules.
Yeah.
It's got to be different and not
Yes.
just change the color of the polar bear in the Coke ad and call it something.
Causally different. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, and it's got to represent something, and it should have a story, and it's a way for people to commemorate an event. I've seen them done for weddings. People take two families and will make their own tartan for the new family.
Cool.
Anniversaries, businesses, of course, clans, and all over the world.
Organizations, groups.
Everything. Just an event. We have several companies have come out with the 250th birthday of the United States tartans.
Yeah.
Several of them. There's no one official one.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's if you can get it registered, you're registered. So that's the rules.
Now, how long ago did you do your first registered tartan? You've been doing it for a while, I know.
I have been doing it for a while. I think I started collecting them though before I would register them because it's not inexpensive and it takes time.
Okay.
I think my first registered one was 6 years ago.
Oh wow.
And I have I'm working on 24 now under my belt that are mine or that I've done for what are they here? Historic homes, historically protected homes. I've done them for registered houses and estates in Scotland.
Yeah. Wow.
So people, places, things, events, organizations. Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, this is such a unique thing though, Caryl. Are you one of, I mean, there can't be a lot of weavers that really specialize in tartans. Are you part of a small group that
it's
just
very tiny.
Yeah.
It's very tiny. Of course, there are huge groups of people that do it in Scotland.
Sure.
No surprise, right?
Yeah.
A community of weavers alone, we're not a big group.
Yeah, right. Yes.
You whittle that down to who does this and who does it full time. That's even smaller. I probably know maybe one or two people that do it, and probably half or a third of the states in the US. So I mean, what is that? I like, maybe 75 people.
Wow.
And most of those don't do it by hand anymore. They've got the I'll call them the computerized machines. No
Hmm.
problem with that. If you that's your thing,
Yeah.
that's your thing.
Yeah.
Where the computer it throws the shuttle for you and the computer's
Program it.
going. It's
Yeah.
all doing all the color swaps for you. I do it fully by hand. Everything's
Yeah.
hand wound.
Wow.
I don't spin it, but I hand throw, I treadle.
Everything else.
I
Yeah.
only know three other people that do that.
Wow.
I don't do
Amazing.
large. I don't do large fabric quantities anymore.
Right. Not yards and yards.
Not yards and yards. I do enough to do the samples for people that order so that they have a sample to send in because once you register, you need to send the samples in to the different agencies so they can see what it looks like and put it in the books. There's huge books
Yeah.
full of people's samples. So in future, they can flip through and say, oh, that's pretty. And then they
So
have a
cool.
sample for themselves or they frame it or they print it and put it on wedding invitations or whatever. But I don't
Yeah.
do giant quantities because you need 5 to 8 yards to make a kilt. And
Wow. Is it that much?
yeah, it's that much.
Wow.
Yeah, if you think of all the pleats and you've got to pleat it, there's two ways to pleat it. You either pleat it to the pattern, so when you look at it, it looks like the pattern unbroken, or
Hmm.
you pick up a part of the pattern that makes it look like the stripe just goes all the way around, and it's not the
Wow.
pattern, but they got the colors. So it
Yeah.
appears like one. It's kind of confusing if you're not used to it, but
Yeah.
to make something that where the pattern repeat is 9 inches or 6 inches, that's a lot of fabric you have to hide in a pleat
To hide. Yeah.
if you're doing 6 inches. So if you think about somebody, some of these guys are 50, 60 inches around sometimes. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. For
They're
sure.
heavy too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's so cool though. Okay, so my last question is without getting too much in the weeds, because I know you did a video kind of all about this, but can you
Mm-hmm.
explain how people read instructions for a tartan? Because it's not a regular weaving draft. It's a
It is
different, is
not.
very different. Can you kind of give a
It
little
is.
overview of that?
Yeah, it can be a regular weaving draft. If that's
Okay.
your thing, you can make it a regular weaving draft. I
Okay.
would just go cross. I mean, I go cross-eyed doing a regular weaving draft anyway because I don't know, it's boring to me. But there's just so many little square. I can't look. I can't focus on that.
Yeah.
It's too tiny, and it's just too much. Where would I leave off? I don't know. So since a tartan is a regular set of thread counts, you have this many yellows, this many blues, this many red, whatever, and then it kind of flips the pattern and goes the exact number that was over here, but in reverse.
Okay.
So you only need to know half.
Oh, nice.
So,
Sure.
so instead of having all of your work threads across the top and your tie up in the corner and then your weft reading down
Totally.
the side and having every single one of those little picks down this way,
Yeah.
and you would see as you treadled all the yellows, all the reds, all the blues, and then it would just go backwards. Well, you don't need to do that. You can
Mm.
just literally write them down like you do in a notebook,
Yeah.
and where it pivots, you write half the amount because it's a pivot. So you're
Okay.
not weaving. Well,
Okay.
actually, you don't write it. It is half, but you're weaving the whole thing. So you do go ahead and write the whole number down there.
Got it.
That's where you're turning it around. In your brain, you know it's half because that's where you're turning around.
Yes. Sure.
So you start with the yellows, the reds, the blues, and you get to the bottom, and then you just weave your way back up the
Go
list.
back up.
So I
Okay.
literally just hang on. I will get you. I have one right there.
Oh, hey.
I know,
Excellent.
right? I haven't threaded it yet, but I have the map down.
I
Wait
love
one
that
second.
plan comes together. If
Yeah, right.
anyone was going to have a tartan, it's a sett, correct, Caryl? I think it's called a sett. If it was going to
Yes,
have it close by, she would have it
yes.
right there.
Well, it's because it's a room full of looms. There's always something close by. Yes, it's called this. The pattern itself is called a sett, S-E-T-T, also known as a set, S-E-T.
Okay.
But
Confusing.
it's confusing because y'all have the normal weavers also have a something called a sett.
Which is a spacing thing,
The
not
spacing
yes,
thing.
different thing.
Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
you do have to be careful with tartans though, with your spacing because your weft beat needs to equal what you have set. There's
For the
that word
picks per
again.
inch.
That's the picks per inch because when you have intersecting colors of the same line, your 8 yellow should match your 8 yellow, and you should have a square
Should be
or
square.
darn close to it, because when you wash it up,
Like,
the warp relaxes.
yeah.
So I don't know, is this backwards on for you? It's
Ooh.
backwards for me.
No,
So,
it's good. It's good for us. Yeah, it's good for
okay,
us.
backwards for me. Okay, so this is the next tartan. It's not registered yet. Copy it, I will bite you.
Ooh, there you go.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Here, I'll take one out. There. Taking one out, you can't see what it is. Okay, so I'll put it back later. So these are the colors that are in half of a set. This is
Okay.
half. And we have, I can't even read it because it's backwards, but you
That's
have,
right.
8, 8, is that a 12?
12,
Anyway,
4,
you're going to
2.
weave your way down in these colors, and you
Yep.
weave your way down
Yep.
until you get to here. This is the middle.
Uh-huh.
And if that says 14 or
14, it does. Yep.
14, it does. Thank you. It's backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do your 14 in green, and then you weave your way back up. And then now you're working on the other half of your tartan set or your plaid set.
Nice.
And then you get to the top, and that's actually the edge, and you will weave your full 8, and then you work your way. You just keep going back and forth and back. And the same thing for the warp.
Nice.
And so you just have to be very careful, because there's 2 different ways to warp. There's the sectional, which is my favorite, and your favorite, which is the regular full warp on a warping board or wheel, or however you guys do it. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
You just have to be careful, because you have to make sure these are in order, back and forth across your work beam, just like you're doing it when you do your weft.
Yeah.
So it's trickier than just throwing on a whole bunch of white, or even just a bunch of white with a blue stripe in it. You got to be careful, because if it doesn't match what's registered, it's not right.
It's not right. It's not the tartan.
Right. And I've had discussions with people that say, oh, I want to make it bigger, like a blanket. And they say, well, I want this because it's going to be bigger. I want this section of blue, which is supposed to be 20. I want it bigger because it's a blanket. So I'll make it 40. No, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
And you can use a bigger yarn, a thicker yarn, but you can't.
Yeah.
And I will say this. You can't and still call it.
Oh, there you go.
Tartan.
Yes.
You can't say it is this. You can say it is representative of this tartan.
Oh.
It is double scale this tartan, but it is not that tartan.
That tartan, yes. Right. Yeah. It's all about the proportions, the ratios.
Yeah.
Well, not even the ratios. It has to be that number of ends.
It has to be that number of threads.
Number of ends. Gotcha.
And it does. And I know it gets wishy-washy once you wash it, and the fibers turn into fabric, and you can't really count things.
Yeah.
But like I said, you can't disrespect the process of the can't, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's intended to be used for kilts and fabric, and it's our threads are very tiny.
Yeah.
So we made allowances for our group to do it. I said, use whatever you want, as long as the thread count and the number is correct. The warp weaver's tartan is the warp weaver's tartan. You can use plain weave, and that was another thing we made allowances for. In fashion fabric for personal use, yes, a tartan can be plain weaved, just over, under. So we didn't torture our poor rigid heddle people. I don't want to do that. I wanted to involve everyone and not say you have to have a foreshaft.
Yes.
But yeah, there are allowances, but
but the core of it is that this is the intention. I love the fact that you said that's the respect for that actual what it stands for. That's the that's
for the warped heritage of this item, the modern version of this.
Yeah.
Since the brothers started this party back in
the brothers. Thank you to the brothers.
Century, right. But that's the way it is now, and we're going to respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Well, Caryl, this has been wonderful. I've learned so much, and I had already learned a lot from you leading up to our Warped Weavers tartan, which was amazing. So thank you so much for spending some time with me. People are going to just love this. And most people I know don't know hardly anything about a tartan. So this is going to be a great resource for them.
Well, thank you for having me. I don't know everything. I know what I know, and I could be wrong on some facts, and fall down your own rabbit hole of research, because it goes in about 19 different directions in that rabbit warren. But that's the general gist of things, history-wise. But I got great music on when I'm weaving. I'm thinking, foggy moors and hounds and hunting and
very moody.
It's very moody. Yeah, give me some Emily Bronte. You know, get that on
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being part of this special episode. And we appreciate your expertise.
there. It's my pleasure. Have an awesome day. Bye.
Okay. How cool is she? Caryl is she's just awesome. We're so fortunate to have her as part of our acting creative community. And I don't know about you, but I learned so much. And Caryl has a great way of educating and entertaining all at the same time. She's very talented. My hope is that from this episode, then you A, learned about the difference between a tartan and a plaid, B, appreciate the significance of a tartan, that it is a representation of a bigger story, of a family, an event, an organization. It can be anything, but that's what makes it special. And because it's registered, these are the guidelines. Here's how you make this specific tartan that represents this bigger thing. I think that's so very cool. And as weavers, we have a very special interest in tartans and how they're made and how we can create our own even. It's really a wonderful, unique tie-in that weavers have to the world of tartans. Very, very cool. So let me know in the comments, what was your favorite takeaway from our episode today about tartans versus plaids? I don't know about you, but I'm excited to get in there and weave a tartan or two. I say we do it. Have a fabulous week, my friends. Happy weaving.